third-generation longshore son.
My father before me was a longshoreman. My brother's a longshoreman.
I grew up in a union town. Union was in my blood.
My great-grandfather started in the 20s down here, and his son, my grandfather.
Back then was work that nobody was looking for. You didn't say, well, I'm going to be a longshoreman when I grow up.
Rioting workers armed themselves with clubs to fight off police. Clouds of gun smoke and tear gas filled the waterfront.
The contracts that came out of that struggle were the contracts that are the foundation contracts for where we find ourselves today.
It's a logjam of monumental proportions. 200 cargo ships carrying 500,000 containers stacked up like buoys out to sea.
All the major ports on the West Coast are shut down.
The crisis in our western ports is hurting the economy.
We got hit sideways because there was always a blackout. There's always been no outside talk while contract negotiations was going on.
No settlement in sight to the labor dispute that titled West Coast
ports along the West Coast.
People are wondering, you know, when Mike Tyson was the king of the heavyweight division, you know, how many opponents can these guys hold off?
I met with my son and my daughter, and I told them, this could be the one, and you know what your dad's going to do, and I just want to let you know how far I'm going to go.
Because it wasn't just about me. And it wasn't just about these healthy young people that you see at the hall getting a job every day. It was a bigger picture.
Earlier today, more than 1,000 dock workers marched through San Pedro.
We didn't know what magnitude, you know, this thing was going to go.
Well, basically, we showed up one morning and the gates were locked, and they said, you're not going in. And at that point, we're wondering what's going on. We don't believe we had a strike. No one voted for a strike, so we were just locked out.
Miniachi definitely had a strategy that he was going to use the media to negotiate this thing.
My message last night to the union, I think, was very, very simple. It's time that we put the interests of ourselves to the side and start thinking of the interests of the American people, and let's open our ports. They said no.
Wait a minute. This is not a strike. This is a lockout, okay? And we didn't lock the gate.
Business owners say if some kind of agreement isn't reached soon, President Bush should step in and
basically all we were asking from D.C. is just stay out of it.
We wanted the natural process to take place. What we certainly didn't want is to have national labor policy eroded by undue pressure from the White House.
They had a history of being able to work their differences out.
I was mobbed by members of Congress, many of them Democrats, saying we have to do something, we have to have federal intervention, we have to do this. And I just looked calmly at them and said, these are mostly foreign entities that have locked out the American workers. You can't let them win.
It is hurting the security of our country, and the federal government must act.
The first time in the history of the United States that a president issued a Taft-Hartley injunction with a lockout.
How is it the administration could be invoking Taft-Hartley when the workers had offered to extend the contract?
The attack from government and from privatizing through government activity is just knocking out and destroying workers throughout the world.
You're really dealing with the same corporate interests, different governments, same corporate interests. What Bush was doing really was saying, here is the opportune time.
We had calls from Tom Ridge. We had calls from Elaine Chao. We had calls from the Solicitor General Scalia. And we had a visit by our Department of Labor attorney, Andrew Sif.
And he said it himself that we would be deemed to be looked upon as economic terrorists.
Never thought in my lifetime that I'd be facing a legal problem of figuring out how to stop the military from taking over workers' jobs.
One of the things I used to tell the employers, would you die for your organization? Not a chance. A lot of people on my side of the table would.
Dockers around the world
more than any other time, have to come together. It's in solidarity of world solidarity of doctors that we stand here today to let you know that your struggle is our struggle. What happens to you happens to us, the ILWU.
Silence must be heard.